on the show! Hey everybody, welcome to the Video Game Losers. I here am Awake Dirt with Sleepy Killen, and we're here to bring you episode, which episode is this? 12, 15, 92?
Trace.
Oh, 3, right. Same difference.
I mean, actually, technically it's probably 12, but for the purpose of the new relaunch, 3.
Of the new relaunch? Relaunch? The new
2012,
relaunch?
the 2012 edition.
2012.
Season 2012.
We're going to do them by year?
Oh yeah, sure.
Sure, why not? Alright guys, welcome back to the show, and of course we are here to talk about everything worth talking about in the world of video games. But not everything, because that would just be kind of boring after a while. But, as usual, our show will be broken into 3 segments. First segment, we'll be talking about some of the news stories of the past week or so. And then we'll be have a commercial break. We'll come back, we'll talk about some of the new releases coming out. And then one more quick commercial, and then when we come back, segment 3! Which is the big one everybody hollers about. We have
Rock, paper, scissors tournament.
And a voicemail message.
Oh, nice.
We have a voicemail message to talk about, and then we were going to discuss one of our favorite franchises, which we're going to look at the past and take a preview at some of the new games coming out for XCOM. Ooh. So XCOM, one of the big PC franchises, and they had one game on the PlayStation 1.
That's right.
So
don't try to buy it. It costs too much.
Really?
It's expensive.
Oh, because I've got it in the big box.
It's rare.
Oh, I should hold on to that then.
You should sell it.
$50. Who wants to make me an offer? Alright guys, first up. If anybody here is a user of Video Games Plus Canada, I should tell you right now, change your password immediately. Their site got hacked. They issued a security warning. 21,000 customer accounts were breached. They got their names, their dates of birth. Apparently they even got phone numbers, email addresses, and encrypted passwords. Now, passwords being encrypted are usually kind of difficult to decrypt, but it has happened. So,
wow. They
have your passwords out there. If you were a user of Video Games Plus Canada, change your passwords now. And beware of, phishing scams and things like that coming at you.
That's why you gotta use different passwords on different sites, because a lot of people use the same login, same password, and then if they get that information, they got your eBay, they got your, your
PayPal, your bank a lot of times.
Adultswebsitefund.com.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Huh?
No.
Oh. Wait, I know one of your passwords. Oh, I gotta start trying. All right. Zynga. Everybody knows Zynga. They do Mafia Wars. They do Farmville. They do Castleville, Cityville, all those type games. Words with Friends. Well, apparently, new Zynga games are struggling very difficultly. iOS games made for the iPad and iPhone are the worst to get daily active users. Other new games, such as Hidden Chronicles, have had a very, very tough time catching on. Hidden Chronicles 12-day post-launch daily active users total 710,000. Which doesn't sound bad. 710,000? That's a lot of people daily that play the game. However, Castleville and Empires and Allies, the last 2 games that were launched by Zynga, got 5 million daily active users. So quite a drop.
Well, yeah. The problem is they're still playing their old games.
Yeah, Zynga's just launching too many games.
Yeah.
They're trying to capture everybody, and instead they're just getting the same people over and over. And with each new game, there's game fatigue. Because I used to play Mafia Wars all the time. I haven't touched it now in months. I used to do Farmville all the time. I think I was there like 2 months ago. I haven't touched it in a long time.
Do people still play that, Farmville? They
do, because every day I get emails from people that, Robin just visited your farm, check your crops.
My crops are desolate.
Like I've got dead puppies waiting for me when I get back.
Chase off the spiders and the rats to start my farm back up.
But the problem is Zynga was the future of social gaming, right? They were supposed to be what social gaming, the future of gaming was Zynga. And nowadays, people who have been playing these games have just gotten burned out on the constant needing to go back and do things, the way it hounds you, and the way it punishes you if you don't play regularly. And that's really turned off a lot of people over time. At first, it's kind of fun, but...
Good business model, terrible gameplay.
But, well, now it's turning into a bad business model because investors are wondering if they should be investing in Zynga.
Probably. You had a time limit. I mean, you start a game, you can only play it for the first year or 2 nonstop before you're like,
Because I mean, there were times where it was like, oh, I gotta check Cafe World. I just got in. I gotta check. I gotta move my dishes. You know, and now it's just a big pain in the rear. All right, folks. If you live somewhere in the world like Johannesburg, or maybe someplace in Tokyo, you happen to see some graffiti that says "No Hope Left." Well, it turns out that's from Capcom, and it's viral marketing for their new Resident Evil game. Now, Biohazard is the name of Resident Evil in Japan, and all the O's in No Hope Left are the Biohazard symbol. You can go to nohopeleft.com, which is their actual viral website, which includes video clips of a user who's trying to figure out what's going on and, you know, what is this No Hope thing and this virus that's spreading and all this kind of stuff.
I don't think you should not do that in today's society, because I'm pretty sure people are going to freak out. That probably killed at least 6 people. I mean,
really, you think people that thought there was something bad going on?
They just ended it. It's done.
Yeah, I wonder. Like, it's one thing in places like Tokyo or whatnot. They buy a billboard and then they spray paint the billboard later. They put like a fake perfume ad or something like that, and then spray paint it. You know, whatever. But in places like Johannesburg, they were finding people who live in like these dirt adobe houses and giving them like $50 or whatever so they could spray paint this graffiti on the side of their house.
Wow.
Yeah. So it seems a little, I don't know, exploitive of some of these poor populations, but...
What do you mean exploitive? They got paid $50. And they got to do some daily activities to keep them busy.
It just seems like a bad idea. I don't know.
That's good for people living in adobe homes, apparently.
All right. Star Wars The Old Republic, the new MMO from BioWare, has gotten some great reviews until now. A new patch has come out that basically breaks what's known as the Valor system. The Valor is their in-game like experience points. Basically, there is a map called Ilum, I believe is how you pronounce it. And on it, they basically have these turrets that you destroy. You get Valor points. And this new patch has made it so the turrets like auto respawn immediately.
Oh.
So the people go in and they just start blowing them up and just start getting all this Valor. And then if a bigger faction comes in, all working together as a group, they just kill everybody else and the turrets, and they start getting all the Valor. And then people band together as a bigger group and come in, and it's just turning this thing where whoever has the biggest group is just going to sit there and just rack up points. Just sit there for hours. Just rack up points and destroy everybody else, and no one else can get anywhere.
Well, that sounds like fun to me.
So it's kind of breaking the system. They say this is only on player versus player servers, though. Player versus enemy, this isn't a problem because you can't kill each other. But on player versus player servers, it kind of creates a problem because anyone new who appears, they spawn and they're immediately being killed by this bigger faction.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, so kind of an issue there.
No, that's good.
All right, next up, PlayStation Vita. It is the biggest loser to hit Japan since probably the Virtual Boy. That's amazing. Considering that the 3DS was declared dead in Japan not too long ago, it turns out the PlayStation Vita is doing worse. The PlayStation Vita launched, first 2 days on the market, 325,000 consoles sold, which is, you know, not great, but it's all right. However, in the month since then, only 176,000, which is about half of that launch number. Sales should be going up from the 2-day, not down.
Who plays their PSP anymore? You know what I mean?
Well, they haven't really had games on the PSP for a long time. I mean, that's part of the problem. The brand, they've killed the brand by not keeping up with the software. And
not only that, but, you know, the last PSP they put out was like a bomb.
Oh, the Go?
Right. So, if no one's buying the Go, and the Vita is like a glorified Go, what do you expect?
Well, think about this as well. The 3DS, which was which a lot of people have said is a dead system, it, you know, didn't catch on, they had to cut the price, whatever. The 3DS has sold 5-to-1 compared to the Vita in Japan. And the original PSP sold 4,000 more units than the Vita. So what does that tell you?
You can hack those.
But I mean, when your old system is outselling your new system, and your new system is, you know...
But, okay, well, Sony's had that problem before, though. I mean, the PS2 has oversold the PS3, and, you know, because of how much more expensive it was during a period there. So,
Yeah, but the difference is there's no software on the PSP. Because the excuse when the PS2 was still selling and the PS3 wasn't right at the beginning was you could still get God of War and Metal Gear and things like that on the PS2. They weren't PS3 exclusives yet. You know? Now, there's no games on the PSP. Like, we checked the launch windows for PSP software at the beginning of December. There was nothing listed until mid-February. When the Vita was coming out, there were PSP games that were going to try to ride that launch and the excitement of the Vita to say, hey, look, here's still some stuff you can play on your PSP. But otherwise, I mean, there's been nothing. There were no big Christmas games for the PSP.
Who owns a PSP who hasn't hacked it yet? That's all I'm saying.
You know, mine have. I've gone back to the original firmware on my PSP because I don't use it for anything except to play the occasional game that comes out every once in a while.
I got maybe 14 hours on my PSP. That's it.
No,
I can't get into it.
Yeah, so I think the Vita may be the last handheld from PlayStation, from Sony. All right, all of you guys excited for Halo 4? If you get an email from someone telling you that there is a Halo 4 beta they'd like you to sign up for, ignore it, because it is fake.
Awesome.
Yeah, apparently 343 Industries, who I guess are working on Halo 4 or working on distribution for Halo 4 or whatever, they basically came forward and said there are a lot of people contacting us about this beta, and it's not happening. So if you're signed up right now for Halo 4, change your password. Change your password, maybe your phone number, get a post office box for a while because your life is not going to be pretty. The new Twisted Metal coming out, the director, the game designer, what's his name, David Jaff, he basically said he did not want a PlayStation Network PlayStation Pass going in for multiplayer. Basically the idea of the PlayStation Network Pass is you buy the game new, you put in the code, and the code gives you all the online stuff. They want to discourage secondhand sales.
Oh,
so he said he did not want the PSN Pass going into Twisted Metal. That way, if you gave the game to a friend, you resell it, whatever, they could still do all the online stuff and not have to pay the extra $10 for a new code or whatever. Well, Sony has said not only is Twisted Metal going to get the PlayStation Pass, but from now on, all of its titles going forward will implement the PSN Pass. So every game coming forward from Sony, or even distributed for PlayStation, is going to require the PSN Pass so that you cannot play online if you bought it secondhand without going into the PlayStation Store and paying the extra $10.
Dirty dirtbags.
That's how they get you.
Dirtbags.
Finally, this one's for all the bronies. Are you a brony? You're not a brony? I thought you'd been converted. No?
Nope.
Oh, but you bought some My Little Ponies. Oh, you have a 3-year-old daughter. My mistake.
Oh,
right. Good excuse.
That would be 4.
Good, that's some
4-year-old.
thinking. Blame it on
Our
her.
daughters share the same birthday, and you said 3. That's terrible on you.
Well, your daughter is obviously younger than mine.
Oh, obviously.
Obviously. But now a Skyrim mod. This adds My Little Ponies from the version known as Friendship is Magic My Little Pony, which are the fluffy ones with the big kind of anime eyes and the colorful hair. Before there had been a mod, and this mod before had just given them pink colors. You know, you could instead of it being a dragon, it looked like a horse, but it had like pink hair and the body was all white. But the new ones have actually fully mutated into these giant My Little Pony horses that you can ride on and fly on through the air. Huh. So last week when we talked about PC versus console, one of the things that you said was so great about PC is that you can mod it and hack your games. Well, this is for you, Mr. Likes to Mod. You can now play My Little Pony in Skyrim just as it was meant to be.
About time.
About time.
I'm saying.
All right. That's going to wrap it up for the news.
Oh, is that it? Is that all you got?
That's all I got.
That's pretty weak.
You got something to add?
No.
Well, come on, Mr. Big Jeans Pants. You got something? Huh?
Don't even start the debate about PC versus console because I know you're a sore loser from last week.
And all the comments on YouTube back me up.
Those people who commented to back you up, they only did so because they felt terrible for you.
Really? All of them. Half the people on YouTube don't even like me.
There was one guy who clearly was just, had the same mindset as you. Everybody else, sorry. They just felt sorry for you.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to take a look at some of the new releases coming out on different consoles and PC, or just consoles. Do you have any
Both.
PC games?
Yes.
You got both? All right. New releases right after this. Hey guys, DiRT here. Don't forget to check out the news desk every Saturday on the Pop Culture Network. We're going to be talking about this week's releases of toys. If you want to know all the toy news of everything that's going on, that's ever been worthwhile, that's ever worth a penny of your hard-earned money, you're going to check out the news desk, popculturenetwork.com. Every Saturday, make sure you check it out. Ready?
Yep.
Are we doing this?
You ready?
I don't know. Are we back yet?
And we're back. Hey, everybody, we're back. Now, let's begin to talk about your new video game releases for this week. Okay, first up, we're going to have Mutant Mudds for the 3DS. Now,
I'm sorry, what?
Mutant Mudds.
Mutant Mudds.
M-U-D-D-S, Mudds. So,
like Harry Mudd from Star Trek?
like Mutant Mudds, like the name of the game.
Oh.
Now, this is going to be on the 3DS, and it's going to be on the eShop. You're not going to be able to buy this in physical format. You're going to have to go to the online store there and purchase it. It is going to cost you about $9.
Whoa, that's expensive for the Nintendo eStore.
Really?
Yeah.
$9?
Yeah, most games are like $6.
Anyways, that'll be the
games.
January 26th. That'll be releasing, of course. It is a side scroller. It's kind of like, it's got a couple weird. I'm trying to think of the best way to describe this. It's a side scrolling game with like a little nerd kid. With glasses, and he looks like totally like a Poindexter guy.
Oh, okay.
And he has a jetpack. Now, the great thing about this game, I mean, it's just a terrible shooting action game. But the cool thing about it is you can jet forward and backwards into the background. Like if
Using the 3D?
yeah. So if you're on this plane doing a side scrolling and you see stuff in the background, you could jump to the background, and that background becomes the foreground. And then, you know, you could jump forward back into the foreground, and that is the plane you're playing on. So you have different planes you can jump to, and to do the, you know...
Well, that's how the Wario game on the Virtual Boy was.
Well, this is the same thing, but it's a nerd with a jetpack.
That's even better.
So, available for $8.99. Next up, for the PC, Linux, and Mac, because apparently...
Linux?
They had a Linux release.
Wow.
Is a game called Oil Rush. It's a strategy game, available January 25th. It is going to cost you about $20. Now, it is an RTS combined with a Towers War game. It says that you want to control construction and upgrading of production platforms, as well as your defensive forces, and sending battle groups of naval and air units to capture enemies' platforms and oil rigs. Kind of like a Command and Conquer. It says the challenging gameplay takes you through rushing swarms of furious enemies in every battle. The winning requires intelligence, branching off technology, researching, and all the variety of tactics you can employ. This is a game that you can play solo or in multiplayer over LAN and through the internet. So, like a Command and Conquer thing, except the idea is you're in the sea sucking up oil.
Is that going to be on Steam?
That is actually... I didn't see it on Steam yet, but you can go to their website at oilrush-game.com. And you can pre-order it there for $20. That's where I found the link at. I wasn't able to find it in physical format on like Amazon or, you know, nowhere like that. I would assume it's going to be eventually ported over to someplace like Steam. But for now, go to their website oilrush-game.com, and you can pre-order it there. So, with that done, we can go on to the next game.
Yes.
Called Puddle.
Puddle.
Puddle. Now, this is going to be on the Xbox and PS3 online.
I like how you find all these high caliber blockbuster games.
I didn't name them. It's just called Puddle.
Huh.
Okay? Now, let me just tell you about the game first, and I'll go back to the details.
Okay, all right.
It's a physics-based puzzle platform game where you must guide a puddle of fluid liquid to a target destination. So it's a puzzle like indie game.
Okay.
You not by moving the fluid, but by tilting the world can you move the liquid. So you'll be able to move it around and then eventually get to from point A to point B.
Like a Super Monkey Ball type
it's a puzzle game.
Okay.
You're going to be able to get this on a 360 and PS3 online through the web stores, through Xbox Live and the PlayStation Network. There's no cost specified yet. I couldn't figure out any pricing on it. But it does have plans later to be ported over to Vita and PC.
Oh, wow. A Vita title.
Yeah.
Wow, so you can play it early now and see what it'll be like on your new $400 handheld.
It's just a real popular indie game. It looks kind of... I mean, if you're watching the video as we're talking about it here, you can see that just like many of the simple indie games that keep you busy for a couple hours, this is one of them.
All right, then.
All right. The next game we're going to go to is called Margaritaville Online.
Woo! That's what I'm talking about. All you parent heads.
This is a web-based game, okay? So you're going to be able to play it on your iPhone, your iPad, Facebook, places like that.
Awesome.
Now, I'm going to read you the description they gave before I
This is a Jimmy Buffett game, right?
Right. Margarita Online is an everyday escape to tropical paradise inspired by the lifestyle and author and singer-songwriter Jimmy Buffett.
And overall humanitarian.
Friends play and party in the islands in this stunningly impressive 3D viral world filled with margaritas, music, and adventure. Okay.
Does it come with margaritas or anything?
It's a mix of like The Sims meets every stupid Facebook game you've seen, like the restaurant games,
like Zynga games.
Yeah,
like all those games we were just dogging.
It's a whole collection of all those games in like a sim world.
Well, hopefully they get it right.
Based on
Jimmy Buffett. So at least the soundtrack is going to be worthwhile. That's going to make it worth. What's the price on that?
I didn't have any prices on there. So you can play it for free, I think.
Oh,
so
even better.
I'm sure they're going to have a paid version or upgrade cost with
or microtransactions. So you get new Hawaiian shirts or something like that, right?
But you can just go to their website at margaritavilleonline.com and play it.
Okay, well, I'll go there. You go ahead and keep talking about the next one.
I'm sorry, margaritavillegame.com, not online. Margaritavillegame.com. And you're going to play it. Okay. Next up, we have Quarrel on the 360. Now, this is a game you're going to download off Xbox Live. It's going to cost you about 400 points. Now, what Quarrel is it's a award-winning iOS... Okay, I had to think about it for a minute. I forgot. It's a word game mixed with, like, Risk. Okay? In Quarrel, success is achieved by creating the best scoring word from a selection of letters, each with a value. The length of the word you make depends on how many troops you can have on each territory. In the case of a tie, whoever made the word fastest is the victor. Players must decide whether to attack, defend, retreat, or transfer troops around or reinforce their armies, while successfully winning the ongoing word challenges. So, like I said, it's like playing Words with Friends, but like with a mix of Risk in it. You just territories.
Oh, I kind of like that.
Yeah, so you just do a little bit of a entering the... You're really going to play it.
I'm really a Margaritaville Online on Facebook, yes.
So that game's going to be available on the Xbox 360, and it's going to cost you, like I said, 400 points.
Okay, I'll come back to it later. But yes, bookmarked, ready to go. All right.
Okay, for the PS3 and Xbox, we have Scary Girl. Now, you're going to get this from online. Okay, it's going to cost you about 1,200 points, so it's a little more pricey of a game. Scary Girl is the new action platformer based on Nathan Jervik's critically acclaimed graphic novel of the same name. Now, this is like a weird anime style action game, like the emo anime. That's the best way I can describe it.
Yes, actually, it does very much look like that.
So yeah, it's like a side scroll action emo anime game that a girl of 8 to 14 might enjoy.
It's like Nightmare Before Christmas, Monster High School.
Yes, that's about it. Nightmare Before Christmas style.
It's.
So yeah, it's they had a couple games. It's based off a series of books, and it's fairly popular. And you'll be able to get that for, like I said, for 1,200 points if you download it off of Xbox Live or the PlayStation Network.
So if you're looking to meet a middle school girl or a very awkward grown man, this is going to be the game for you.
I mean, just watch the video as we're talking about it. You can totally
you'll
get the idea.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. So that's a must-buy.
Well, there's a lot of middle school girls. Wait, what?
Let me put a star right there. Okay.
No,
so on the next title we have is yet another expansion to Sims 3.
They still do that?
Another one.
Isn't Sims 4?
This is like this is like expansion like 332.
Is this Hot Date?
This is called
Make It
Master
Magic?
Suite stuff.
What?
Master Suite stuff, like a bedroom suite.
Oh, not sweet like candy.
No.
Sweet like a nice hotel
So it's
room.
releasing on the PC and of course on the Macintosh for all you people out there who are crazy.
For both of you who game on your Mac.
Yeah, it's about $20.
Sweetholic.
It's a $20 release. It's about the average cost of an expansion for them. You're going to get stylish bedroom sets to spa-inspired bathroom furnishings to romantic new lingerie and hairstyles.
Yeah.
Your Sims will relax in comfort and style.
Yeah. Now, if you got a dude, can he wear the lingerie?
I was looking at some of the screenshots, and every shot I could see was just people hanging out in their bathtub in their lingerie. Which, I guess if you're living the sweet life, that's how you would
like
roll.
Zach and Cody.
Right.
That's how they must be living nowadays.
Exactly like that.
In their lingerie in the bathtub.
I don't even want to talk about that anymore. I'm just going to check that off the list. That's not coming up.
It's a very awkward episode of Video Game Losers. Thanks for joining us.
Yes.
Very special episode.
So we got 2 more here. Okay, the next one is going to be a downloadable content for your Assassin's Creed Revelations.
Ooh.
I believe this is the first one. Yeah, this is the first one. It's going to be the Mediterranean Travel Map Pack.
Huh.
So, it's got a lot of stuff here. I'm just going to kind of read through it real quick. It says, become deadlier than ever. Take on the lethal skills of the wiser, more efficient, deadlier Izio. Swiftly eliminate your adversaries by deploying a new arsenal of weapons and abilities, such as enhanced free running and hook blade combat. Experience new levels of gameplay, customization, and with bomb crafting, and use heightened eagle vision to overcome your enemies and through the environment. Test your skills against the best. A critically acclaimed multiplayer experience gets even better with the all-new team modes and unlimited replay value.
Unlimited.
Explore the mind of Desmond Miles. Explore the farthest reaches of the Animus as you have discovered the mysteries of Desmond's plan while gaining insight into what a future might hold.
Do you read any of these press releases ahead of time?
I tried to like get the best explanation of what you're actually getting, and basically you're getting this. You're getting new weapons, new customization, new maps, and new enhanced gameplay, and that's it. I mean, it's truly an expansion, not just a mod.
Quick question for you. Which do you prefer, Assassin's Creed or Hitman?
Oh, Hitman for sure.
Really?
Absolutely. I'm actually stoked about the next Hitman coming up.
Would you be more excited to go back and play a Hitman on the PS2 or play a new Assassin's Creed on the PS3?
Hitman on the PS2.
Wow. Yeah. All right then.
So that expansion is going to set you back about $10. 10 bones.
Actually, that's not bad.
No, it's not. It's totally...
a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And the last game we have is Victoria 2, A House Divided. It is a PC strategy game. It's going to release for about $20. This is a standalone title. You should be able to find it in most major stores if they're carrying them. Now, this is the first expansion to the Victoria 2 game. So if you already have Victoria 2, this is going to be an expansion you're going to add to it, and it's going to focus on the American Civil War. Now, this is a strategy territory game. It's not like a Total War where you go into the battles, but it's more like the maps of Total War, where you're taking over the territories and you pick which armies you want to go and you fight and you select every. It's one of those old time strategy games where there's like 1,000 options of what to do before you actually do it. And for all you people who just like spend your entire life playing those kind of games, you're going to get something great out of this one because now it's going to be based on the Civil War.
So it's not like. Move this troop here, move that troop there, like a real-time strategy. This is like Risk.
Right, but with a ridiculous amount of options about how much supplies to give the people.
Right, but you're not going in and doing like individual shoot this guy, shoot this guy, shoot this guy. It's these move into this territory.
It's essentially Total War map view, and that's it. So, it's an expansion pack to a very popular game, and you're going to start in 1961, and it's going to let you...
1961?
1861. 1861, and you're going to experience the Civil War from the start. You can manufacture reasons to go to war with other countries, like, you're stupid. And just new abilities, new weapons, new units, new game fun, and whatever.
There you go.
20 bucks. There it is. And that is all the games that are releasing that matter to me this week. Especially the Sims 3 expansion pack.
Because you're all about The Sims 3, huh?
Love it.
Can I get that on my 3DS version of Sims 3?
No.
Oh, lame.
That's why PC's better.
Lame. All right, guys. We're going to take another quick commercial break while we go use the comfort room and freshen up a little bit.
Ambassador suite.
A little pat of makeup there. But when we come back, we've got some fan corner questions. We've got a voicemail. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the XCOM series, which we were actually going to cover to fill up all the time. But then people actually asked us questions for the fan corner. We actually got a voicemail. So we won't spend as much time talking about XCOM, but we're still going to talk about the franchise.
Well, let's see what happens.
Well, yeah, we'll just play it by ear. See how it goes.
Awkward.
Oh, are we back?
Yes.
Oh, hey, everybody. Welcome back to the show here. This is the Video Game Losers, part of the Pop Culture Network. You can catch this show at VideoGameLosers.com, but don't forget to check out VGLosers.com, the abbreviated name of the website, for more great video game stuff beyond just this show. You can find news and highlights, and whenever we do stuff on other parts of the Pop Culture Network that cross over, like we do a review of a comic book that's based off a video game, or we do a review of a toy that's based off a video game, it also gets posted on VGLosers.com. So a whole bunch of neat video game stuff, VGLosers.com. You want to check out just this show because you think we're pretty, that would be VideoGameLosers.com. Alright guys, we do have a voicemail we're going to open up with here on the show, and let's just kick it off. Get started.
Do it.
This is for Video Game Losers. I'm wondering if you guys are thinking things like Call of Duty, Pokemon, Halo, if all that stuff is getting kind of repetitive. Thank you, and if you can maybe link back to my channel, Little Gibby 1, I'd very much be appreciative. Thank you.
Okay, well, we need to link back to his channel, which I think he said was Little Jimmy 1. Maybe? I'm not exactly sure what he said there.
Yeah, you might want to send that in an email. That makes more sense.
So maybe it's Little Jimmy 1. I don't know. But basically just asking, do we think shooters are getting too repetitive? The Call of Duty, the Modern Warfares, all that stuff.
Yes, but man, I love them. I don't even care. As long as they keep producing. You know, I play Call of Duty in the shooting games, and I play them solo. Mm-hmm. I do prefer playing like a Battlefield game online versus other people, but like the Call of Duty game's story is so good, I just want to play it without somebody sniping me in the back corner. So I enjoy that, and if they keep putting out the story modes of the games, I'm going to keep playing them. I don't care if it's 1,000.
I definitely prefer single player to multiplayer, just because I like the story. I like story unfolding and unlocking, and it gives me a reason to keep playing, because I don't really care if I beat the other team or if our team gets the points. Big deal. You know, I want to see how the story... That's one of the things about Homefront. Homefront was a first-person shooter that critically apparently bombed.
I love that game.
But we both loved that game because we loved the storyline. And the storyline was enough to make me look over some of the other little faults that the game had. Because I didn't care so much about those faults because I wanted to see the story progress and go forward. A lot of the Call of Duties... you know, they get into the Modern Warfare, and it's like, well, that's kind of interesting, I guess. But after a while, it does start to feel like you're playing a lot of the same missions over and over. I'm tired of escort missions. They should not exist. If the other person on my team is dumb enough to get shot and killed, hey, life goes on. That's war. You keep going. I don't see why I should have to keep them alive, and I hate that in games. And I think probably the other thing I hate is when they do unlimited spawning. In games, when you're somewhere in a map where it's like you're supposed to shoot them and then you're supposed to move forward to knock out the automatic spawning. But I'm not that type of person. I'm the type of person that likes to sit and take everybody out before I move on. And in a lot of those with unlimited spawning, it's just like it takes me 3 days of constant killing before I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah,
these guys
I would say that two of my biggest problems with games is one, the unlimited. I call it unlimited boys. where you have a massive amount of people that's ridiculous. If you set a preset number of actual people on the map, I'm happier with that.
Right.
And then another one is like playing like let's say role-playing games or something, and you go into a dungeon and it's like the most massive castle, ridiculous, lavish place in the world. I prefer the games where it's like it's a realistic sized dungeon with realistic goals. That makes more sense to me. So I prefer to keep those elements realistic, but you can give me the biggest, craziest gun you ever heard of, and I'll just go around slapping people with things. And
well, that's another thing. Like with Duke Nukem Forever, a lot of people hated it because they said it was too linear, and I hate going into a game and it's like you can go this way, or this way, because I'm the type of person. Ever since I started playing Wolfenstein, you know, I have to go left. Check out everything, come back, then I have to go the middle one and come back, and then I have to go right. And if the way out is all the way down on the left side, well, then I'm not leaving yet. I got to turn around and go back and see what's happening. And a lot of these games, they give you like 6 options on how you move through the map, and I move through one way, but I want to see that other stuff. Like, you went through the time and effort to program and to model that stuff. I want to see it. I prefer... You know, it's a giant office building, but there's only 2 doors open on either side as you sneak through the cubicles, and people are like, oh, it's too linear. You don't have enough options. I don't want options. I want to blow guys through and move on and progress the story.
I want to kick in the doors and see what's in the closet, you know?
Yeah, that's another thing. It's like a window in somebody's office, and you shoot it 9 million times in the glass.
And I know this is ridiculous, but games outside in cities, I want to be able to go in every house if I choose, but... I mean, you know,
yeah, I know.
That's not gonna happen.
It's like you play one of those games and it's like half the house is destroyed, but yet you can't open the refrigerator.
Right.
You know, it's like, well, that's just too tough. But, you know, they
I'm talking like a Grand Theft Auto. You there's like 40 houses on the whole map that are open. Everything else is closed off to you. That doesn't make sense to me. I want to go in every place. I want to break in home invasion, you know, people left and right.
And just randomly generate them. I mean, who cares? If they got 2 bathrooms next to the living room, who cares? Just randomly generate them. It doesn't matter. All right, we're going to get into the fan corner here. We do have questions that were posted in the forums. The Pop Culture Network forums at popculturenetwork.com. Join the forums. You can leave us fan corner questions. First one comes from Dusty86. He says, I was wondering how you guys felt about GameStop throwing away DS cases for the pre-owned games. I don't know if you've ever seen the trade-ins going on there. I remember that with Game Boy games. I'm the type of person, when I bought my games, I always took the game out and then I put the boxes on the shelf. So I always had shelves full of boxes. And I would go to trade them in, and I would walk in with the instruction book, you know, whatever inserts were also in the box for like Nintendo Power Magazine or whatever, and the boxes, and hand it to them, and they'd say whatever it was, and they'd pull out the cartridges, throw them in the drawer, and the boxes and instruction manuals went right in the trash. It broke my heart. So I stopped doing that, and I don't buy online anymore from someone who doesn't have the box and manual. When I buy a game, if I'm buying a physical copy, I want the box and the manual. I like having them on the shelf. I like collecting them, you know? I like having that stuff there. So, yeah, when I see GameStop doing stuff like that, I'm thinking, how stupid are you throwing that stuff away? That makes absolutely no sense. And you're just, you know, it's going in the landfill. It's not like they're recycling or anything like that.
Well, I guess their problem is they have small stores and they kind of conserve space, and that's...
Yeah, but DS boxes don't take that much space.
They do. I mean, they add up. I mean...
Yeah, but with as much space as they use with the flat trays that have all the cartridges laid out, if they had all the boxes side by side, it'd be taking up half the space.
I don't think so.
That they take up.
I do. They did that as a business model to save shelf space to gain more money. But it is ridiculous. I mean, honestly, it really is ridiculous. But for a company who just wants to make a quick profit, they don't care.
Yeah, stop buying at GameStop. We'll add that in too.
Yeah, don't buy them.
All right. The Rook, he joined and said, enjoyed the console versus PC discussion last show. Have to agree with DiRT on this one. Just wondering, DiRT, how many consoles do you own?
I feel bad for him.
How many consoles do I own? Well, if you include handhelds, it's a lot. I mean, I've got an Atari 2600. I've got the, you know, the Nintendo, the Sega Genesis, the 32X, the Sega CD. I've got the, you know, the Saturn, the Dreamcast, the Super Nintendo, the Nintendo 64. I've got the handheld Nintendo that's from FC Mobile. We lost him here, folks. I've got like 3 Xboxes. I've got a 360. I've got a PlayStation. I have a PlayStation and a PS1.
Stop bragging.
I have a PS2.
Stop bragging.
I've got a PS3. I mean, I collect them like crazy. I do have a Wonder Swan Pocket. I've got a Neo Geo Pocket Color. I've got an original Game Boy. I've got a Play It Loud black Game Boy. I've got a Game Boy Color, Game Boy Pocket, 2 Game Boy Advances, a DS, an original fat DS, a DS Lite. I had a DSi, but I traded in to get my 3DS. I've got 2 PSPs. I've got a couple, Game Boy Advance SPs.
So you got a couple, right?
So I've got like 2, maybe 3 consoles. How about you? How many do you have? You just have the 360 and the PS3?
We have the 360, PS3, and the Wii. And I got a couple PCs, and I have we have a couple DSs in the house, and I have a PSP, which I do not play at all. And that's about it.
One nice thing about the PSP, you can watch Tron on it. So there you go. That's why it sticks around.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so there you go. All right, Deadman2099 says, "Woo! I'm drunk a bit on a Thursday. Thirsty Thursday." Anyway, Dirt and Killen, Fruit Ninja is addictive. I wonder how the toys will turn out. I think there are a couple of Sensei-type characters that give tips on the game. Any new word on that? Any new word on that?
No, not yet. We still don't know. As soon as we do know, we will talk about it on It Figures podcast. But as far as I know, we're still a mystery.
Do you think you're going to order the Fruit Ninja toys or anything?
No. I mean, unless they're awesome. I mean, if they come out with like a crazy design that I gotta have, yeah. But for most part, no. That's weird.
All right. He says, also, have you guys heard anything about the new Devil May Cry? I want that to be as badass as possible. Actually, it's a BA, and I don't mean battle armor. Ha ha, you're drunk. All right, so Devil May Cry. Have you heard anything about a new Devil May Cry?
No. I mean, honestly, I don't care about that game.
I mean, I've heard rumors
Sorry.
of it being in development for a long, long time, but that doesn't mean anything.
The game was, I mean, part 4 was really good, and it lasted a long time. I mean, it ate the first 2 years on the PS3, like, no problem. So I know the game is a good game. I never got into it. To be honest, I'm waiting for the next Hitman. That's my next game. So if it's not Hitman, I'm sorry. Don't really know what to do.
P.S. Yes, Deadman2099, the Armatron toy. You can talk about that on Tron Day. That's okay. All right, this is from Dinobot. There's been a lot of talk on other video game sites about video games as art. Any chance you guys would want to tackle this subject?
Ooh, that's a good idea.
I think video games can be art, but I don't think video games by their nature are art.
Do you consider like books art?
I think books can be art, but I don't think books by their nature are art.
And like movies are art?
Same difference. Music, movies, I think everything has the ability to achieve that, but just the simple fact that they exist doesn't make them reach that quality. I don't think a porno flick is a work of art like like 2001: Space Odyssey. It might bring tears to your eyes, but it's probably for a different reason, depending on the movies you watch. Freako. But I mean, video games is art. My problem, whenever anybody brings up this discussion about video games as art, it usually comes down to this idea of whether or not kids should be able to buy M-rated games and whether or not that counts as censorship and all that kind of stuff. I have no problem with an industry putting in a rating system that says this game should be played by people over 18, and if that's their own rating system within the industry, then saying people under 18 can't buy it. I have no problem with a retail place like Walmart saying, we don't really want to carry your game, because it's their store. All they're going to do is lose out on money. So if they're going to say, well, we don't want to carry your game, that's their choice. You don't have a right to sell your game in every store in every state. I think
Walmart is a bad idea. You can't even use that because Walmart will make or break a title based on how much volume they can sell.
Yeah, but you should be taking that into consideration when you're making it. If it's that important to you that you have a donkey having relations with a woman in an uncensored cutscene,
it's very important to the story.
then you're taking that risk upon yourself of not having it carried in Walmart. I mean, that's just the choice you make.
It's called Love and Donkeys. You have to have that scene.
But I think that's kind of when it comes down to it. There's nothing, when people talk about video games as art, it always comes down to this story of censorship. But the thing is, what they call censorship, they're mixing with free market capitalism. And in a free market, if I don't want to carry your game and sell it in my store, I don't have to. and you can't force me to sell your game. So, you know, if you want to make the game, there shouldn't be anything stopping you from making it, unless it's about, you know, like children and farm animals. But, you know, other than that, you know, nothing's stopping you from making your game. Just it doesn't have the right to be sold everywhere just because you want it to be. That's my America.
Not my America.
Anything you want to add?
So remember to rock the vote. I guess that comes down to that.
Alrighty then. All right, folks. Now it's time for the big topic of discussion for today, which is XCOM. And the reason why we bring this up is because Steam recently had a sale on XCOM where I bought the entire bundle for like, I don't know, like $6 or something crazy like that, where I got XCOM 1, 2, and 3. I got Enforcer, Interceptor. And then we just found out the other day there are 2 new games coming out, which we kind of knew of one, and then the second one was announced that came out of nowhere. We had no idea it was coming. So we're talking a little bit about XCOM, and I tell you what, why don't you, for anybody out there maybe doesn't know about XCOM, doesn't know what it is, why don't you school them, educate them?
Okay. Now, I'm not really sure what the year was. Do you know when it first came out?
93.
93. A little company known as Micropose released a game called XCOM UFO Defense on the PC. Now, this was a turn-based game where you would build a base, and the idea there were aliens were attacking. So you would develop a squad with members, and you would build a facility to house them, and you would do research to develop their weapons and abilities, and you would go out and hunt these aliens one ship at a time. And the idea is you would go and a spaceship is spotted somewhere, you go out there and you do a turn-based attack, you get out of your ship, you go and you kill the alien, get back in your ship, fly back to the base, take all the stuff you gathered from them, you know, their bodies, their weaponries, their ship, take it back, research it, develop your own weapons and get stronger. And the idea is you're going to keep doing this with all the aliens and find their bases. Now, that's fine. And the idea is a lot of fun. The problem is this game is ridiculously hard. And it's not as bad in the first game, but in the sequel, UFO XCOM Terror from the Deep, where you're on, you know, you're still on the Earth, and all the aliens are in the ocean, and you're going down to hunt them in the oceans. This game is the most ridiculous, impossible game to beat, because when you do these turn-based attacks, there are a lot of like debuffs that you'll receive, kind of like a panic. An alien will shoot towards your guys, and then you have your whole squad in their ship, and they're trying to get out of the ship to move, because you move every time you land your ship. Your move starts with you moving your guys out of the ship.
Well, you get action points, basically.
Right.
You can either take a step, you can turn a direction, you can fire shots.
And you go to the next guy, the next guy, the next guy. You end your turn, the aliens move, then it's their turn, and it goes back to you. The problem is, a lot of the time, once you play for a couple hours and developed a little bit, you would get to a mission where you land your ship, and you would have your squad that you've been trying to survive for a while, and they're getting kind of good. And the aliens would get their first turn, and the first turn they got was a guy throwing a grenade inside your ship, killing your entire squad.
Or leaving one guy who's scared and afraid, who panics, drops his gun, runs out, and dies.
Yeah, or your guys they'll get shot at by aliens, and they'll miss completely, but it'll be somewhere near them, and then your guy will freak out and start like panicking and
shooting other people in the
squad.
squad.
Shoot your own people, or he'll drop his gun and just run away.
Or sometimes they mind control them, take them over.
So here's the problem with this game. That's all fine and good, but if your people die, they're gone.
There's no reviving them.
There's no reviving them. They're dead. You have to go recruit new guys and train them and get their stats up so they can get some nice people. The problem is you got a couple good guys and you got a ton of new recruits constantly.
Red shirts.
And those red shirts, because they're low level, they'll freak out constantly and will kill your stronger units. And then you'll have to completely start over non-stop.
Now, despite all this, though, extremely addictive. The graphics were great for the time. It has a really great art style and isometric view. And it's one of those games that you get so mad at, but you can't stop playing.
Yeah, I mean, because every time you're like, okay, yeah, and there was a problem that you could save the game, But it seemed like those missions were constantly going to be the same. You know you're going to get screwed eventually. And when it occurs, you're like, damn it, now we got to start over. But you were like, oh, it's okay. This time I'm going to do this differently, and I'm not going to have these problems like I did. No, every time you're going to have that problem. And they're unrelenting. The aliens are coming constantly. You could choose to let them go, or you go attack them. But here's the thing. You get your funding from the world. So if
like the United Nations, basically.
Right. All the countries to give money to your organization so you can spend it to get your stuff. Now, if you're neglecting like, Europe, and you're just fighting the aliens that are attacking towards the United States, Europe's going to get pissed off at you, and they're not going to give you any money the next time that you go to the meeting to get your annual money. And that's another problem, is you got to hunt these guys everywhere, constantly, or you're going to make people mad and you're not going to have any money. If you don't have any money, you're not going to be able to recruit people and buy weapons. And if you can't do that, you're going to die and suck, and you're going to be really mad.
Now, there were 3 games in the original series.
I only talk about the first 2 because those are the only best ones.
UFO Enemy Unknown was the first XCOM. The second one was Terror from the Deep. Mm-hmm. The third one was Apocalypse. Mm-hmm. What made Apocalypse different from the other 2?
Apocalypse was
because it's in the future?
In the future. And another thing is they try to add another element where they're going to add a third problem. Okay, you got your aliens, you got you, and then you got like a police force, like a military force, that was not liking the fact that you were fighting aliens in the cities and they were going to try to attack you too. So you had the same idea as the other ones, but you had this nuisance constantly bothering you, telling you can't do that, you're not allowed.
And this is the one that took place on Earth and Mars. Was this one?
Well, I didn't play that much because it sucked.
Now this one, just so you know, just to get it out there, if you wanted to play XCOM Apocalypse, you had to have a 486 100 megahertz processor. You had to have 8 megs of RAM, and this was the killer, 20 megabytes of hard drive space. Like, I think my first computer may have actually had like 2 megs of hard drive space. I think that may have been it.
That's ridiculous.
So anyway, now there were 2 games that came out after that, which kind of spun the series in new directions. They were trying to branch out and work on other stuff. First one was XCOM Interceptor, and it was basically trying to cash in on TIE Fighter and X-Wing, if you remember those space simulation games, Wing Commander, things like that. It was a space shooter. It was god-awful terrible. The radar was useless. It was very difficult to manage. You would create star bases, and you had to manage these different solar system areas, just like you did the different sectors of Earth. But, I mean, the game was just ridiculous. Didn't make a lot of sense a lot of times. Research didn't seem to do that much, really, to help you out. And just the controls were just terrible. But the other game they came out with was XCOM Enforcer, which came out in 2001. And also available on Steam. As of today, you can download it and still play it. It runs great. It's a first-person shooter. It is very linear, and it is a butt-ton of fun. This game, this is the game. Like, I started playing this game. This made me so happy. It's just a straight run-and-gun shooting people. But because it's aliens attacking Earth, you are at the trailer park destroying aliens, trying to rescue the people. You're at the bowling alley. You're at, there's a wrestling ring in a steel cage with these giant aliens in there that you got to fight and try to destroy. The themes of like Redneck Rampage and games like that were in XCOM Enforcer, which made a lot of people mad at the time because they wanted it to be more serious and strategic. And it really wasn't, but that's probably why I loved it so much. Because it was just crazy, just, bad humor, all sorts of fun stuff like that. So, love that one a lot. Now, there was a game announced. Recently, it's been bumped to next year. But they did announce a new game for XCOM coming out of 2K Games, the people who made BioShock. They were working on a PC and console reimagining of XCOM as a tactical and strategic first-person shooter. So they want to take elements from the first game, where you have to build your bases, you have to do your research, you have to train your people, but then a UFO will appear, you go shoot it down, and this time, instead of it being an isometric view of I'm going to move the people here and move the people there. It's going to be like Rainbow Six, like Vegas, or one of those type games, where you have a lot of strategery and running around. So now that game was originally supposed to come out this year, and they just announced that it got bumped. I don't know. I think it just said sometime next year or sometime late this year, whatever. It was supposed to come out, early on, and they've just said it's not going to happen. So we're just going to have to wait on that one. But as soon as they announced that was bumped, Firaxis, or Fraxis, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, they announced, well, by the way, we're working on a new version of XCOM. And this new version is called XCOM Enemy Unknown, and which, by the way, the original XCOM game was called UFO Enemy Unknown. So they're kind of going back to that original game, and they've announced that this will be a strategy game, straight-up strategy. This is from the same group of designers who've worked on Civilization. Let's see, Fraxis or Firaxis Games, Sid Meier's Civilization, Gettysburg, Alpha Centauri, Pirates. They're part of Take-Two Interactive, I guess, nowadays. Railroads, Antietam. So a whole bunch of very strategic thinking games. They are working on the new XCOM Enemy Unknown. It was just announced in Game Informer like last week. The issue came out that talked about it. No one knew about it, and they just said it'll be out sometime this year. So while the other one, the first-person shooter, tactical shooter, has slipped, you can now look forward to this new strategy one coming out sometime, probably second quarter. So sometime between now and summer.
Well, I'll probably check that out.
So that's definitely one I look forward to. And again, it was like no one knew this was in development. Like this must have been like a side project or something that got pretty far along, and they're like, hey, this is looking pretty good. And as soon as the other game got bumped, they were like, well, now here's our window. Let's do it and get it out there. So fans who are really big into the original game, it looks like you've got a lot to look forward to in this new XCOM Enemy Unknown. Now UFO, the first game was called UFO, and it was like XCOM, but UFO, Enemy Unknown. There were other games from UFO, from that series, that were made by other people. There was some sort of copyright question because they had used UFO based off an old TV show from the 70s, is where they claim they got the inspiration from, and somebody else, I guess, like stole the rights to that 70s TV show or something. So they came out with UFO Aftermath in 2003, UFO Aftershock, UFO Afterlight. None of these games really, did much of anything, but a lot of people kind of looked at them as unofficial sequels. There's also a game called Rebel Star Tactical Command on the Game Boy Advance, which I remember when this was announced and came out, and it was basically, they took XCOM and changed the graphics to make it, more cartoony, but put it on the Game Boy Advance. And it was basically the same game. That was a lot of fun. There was another UFO, Extraterrestrials, that just came out in 2007. There's a free open source game called UFO Alien Invasion. And this one is basically fans of the XCOM series who really liked it. They're working on this game. It runs on Linux, Windows, and Mac OS, and Amiga OS.
Okay.
And they're working on a version for the Android market. So
which is going to be kind of terrible then, if it's on the Android.
Well, it looks like they've got the core gameplay there, but the graphics are just,
updated.
Windows 3.1, The graphics don't look all that fantastic, but it looks like they may have the core gameplay down, so I might have to check that one out. So the UFO games, not really sequels to XCOM, but they're still kind of unofficial sequels, and some of them, do retain the heart and soul.
If you want the best experience of this game, get XCOM Terror from the Deep. That is the best one.
Just go on Steam and get the pack. You get like 5 games. What does it cost? I think now it costs like $30, but you can catch it on sale. Steam has all those crazy sales all the time. You can get games cheap, and it's definitely worth getting. If nothing else, play Enforcer, and help everybody out at the mobile home trailer park.
Play Terror for the Deep for like 8 hours, and then tell me if you do not want to bust your computer open
and just start smashing the keyboard.
Smashing it, because how frustrating it is. But you'll be playing the next day because you love the game so much.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Great games.
Telling you.
All right, guys. That's going to do it for this episode of the Video Game Losers. Thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget, check out VideoGameLosers.com for more episodes of this show. Also, VGLosers.com to check out lots of video game stuff from the Pop Culture Network. Or you can just go to PopCultureNetwork.com, check out all of our stuff, comic books, video games, toys. We had an entertainment podcast, but then that guy had a baby, and so he hasn't been doing the show for a couple weeks now. What a jerk. Don't forget, you can check out ShopPCN.com. You can buy some neat stuff there. If you want to send us an email, you can send it to Killen@PopCultureNetwork.com or DiRT@PopCultureNetwork.com. You can leave us a voicemail. It's area code 217-953-4025.
I didn't get that. What was that?
It's area code 217-953-4025.
Oh.
And you can also come to PopCultureNetwork.com, join the forums, and talk with all your geeky, new, nerdy friends about everything having to do with comics, video games, toys, pro wrestling, movies, music, Android tablets.
And if you're on the forums, please go down to the video game section, and in there, look for the subcategory of the Video Game Loser Show, where you can post your fan questions for the next episode, as well as discuss current or past, or maybe future episodes.
Or give us topics to talk about.
Or just say, hey, what's up?
Hey, this bro. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you. Sorry, I'll rip all these things first. Bye.